Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is our week number 4 of our 6-week boot camp. Today, we are going to be talking about the when you've actually gone through the process of finding a client. You've interviewed them. They said yes, let's do this, and this is kind of their getting them set up for some good communication and good mentorship and exposing them to our community. And so this is the meet and or it's not really a meet and greet, but it's a welcome to the community email or message. And so we're going to be talking about that today. And then this flows into next week where we talk about the client story call, which happens roughly about 1 week into the program. And so as we're getting started here, I wanted to have somebody, have you guys talk about the health assessment and comments about hopefully you've actually taken action and you've either practiced a few on some people or you've actually performed some on people. And you have some clients now and you have some good, better understanding of what people's needs are. So I'm going to open this up to the whole group at this point so that we can get a little bit of conversation going around the health assessments. Because one of the things that this is a process and a flow each week, and that you can't sign somebody up before you make a contact with them, right? And you can't have what we're going to teach on today until you actually enroll them as a client. And so there is a natural progression. I also wanted to welcome Troy Drollinger to the party.
Welcome. Thank you for that, Craig. You know what is, as we talk about the health assessment, all of you, I'm hoping that you're going to be utilizing that, because that is one powerful tool. Because as you look at wanting to, as you know, when I became a coach 7 years ago, I didn't have these tools. So really having the you want to call it upper hand, but really the understanding that you're able to help people in a way that really find out their true why. Think about that. How many of you really have went out and just asked questions, just random questions to try to find a person's why out, right? We've all done it. So now we have a tool that we don't have to do that. What does that happen? What happens with that? That's duplication, because that person you bring on as a client, because you utilize that health assessment, they're more likely to use that when they become a coach, if they become a coach. So these are all tools, just like Craig was saying, that's why we want to bring structure to what we're doing, so you're able to really see the fruits and the benefits of really paying it forward.
One of the things I was talking to a guy this week, and this guy's probably 350, 400 pounds. And it's not my client. It's a client working with one of the coaches. Actually, Christina, you guys have probably met her. So Christina's connecting with this guy. And one of the things, he's a little bit autistic, but he's not very social, doesn't have very many friends. And one of his comments to her is that when people get to know him, they usually don't hang around. And that's a powerful statement. If that's the concept you have about life, that when I get to know people, they don't like me and they don't want to be my friend, and so they leave. And I was just thinking about what we do as coaches, what we do as Optavia health coaches, right? Optavia coaches. And I was thinking about the reality of what was transpiring in that call. So he knows me as her mentor coach that's a professional health coach, but doesn't know too much really about me. And he knows Christina somehow. And then he knows his experience with the world. And we do the meet and greet where we get to know, a a little bit about his needs. I start asking him all these questions. I start saying, oh, that's interesting, and just showing an interest in his life. And then after a week into the program, he's down like 13 pounds or something like that. And first of all, he's loving the results. And then he does another 3-way. This is probably more communication with strangers than he's had in years. And he's just blossoming, talking about things. It's showing authentic curiosity into someone else's life. And the reality of, we may miss it because there's a lot of technical details here, but the reality of what we're communicating. Now, we don't always communicate that because we're just like, let's get on program, right? So we think about what we're communicating. But in this particular case, what we were communicating is that you have value. You're worthy of someone asking questions. If you want it, you can be healthy again. And I was thinking, sure, we'll help him lose some weight, and that'll be really profound. But it's already been profound with the first few conversations that we've had, just truly asking. And so, what do you mean by this? Well, how does that? Well, why did you do that? Well, what are your dreams over here? What's going on over there? Well, if you did this and you had this, what would you do with it? Oh, I would go, I'd be able to go do this again, and it's just like, I hope you don't miss, you don't miss the forest through the trees, right? You don't miss the reality that we can show an interest into another human being's life and partner with them to have hope again that the future is going to be better.
Hey, Craig, I like how you said I like how you say the forest through the trees. I like that. That's good. Hey, Rick had his hand up there. Let's go ahead. Rick.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The health assessment is a phenomenal tool, and I really love the way that it's been formulated because of the content and the context and the direction it leads us. Because in the very, very beginning, it creates that open conversation. Why have you connected with me? I've had the opportunity this past week to use it several times, which is very cool because I really like everything about it, because it actually can help us re-aim a client that's been lost. From a year and a half ago, someone reached out to me and said, I really need to get back into it. I really need to lose some weight. I really need to get feeling better. And I'm like, cool. So let's start out with a few questions. And I went through the entire process, and he was excited. In actuality, more excited than I've heard him before, because it gave him a sense of real clarity in the direction that he could go. Not just talking about losing weight, because that's really the sixth thing that we talk about on that health assessment. It's the last thing. We talk about everything else. So it gets that client or the pre-client in the mindset to make some changes. It awakens them to the direction that they can go. And I think this is just awesome. I really do appreciate the mentorship, the thought, the direction that this is all taken to put together. And it's very, very useful. All we have to do is just, get out and use it more and more. Mm-hmm. The second thing is I find that it's great because it's so structured, and we don't really have to. It's a natural flow of questioning, and we don't really have to stop and think about, let's see, what did I forget? What would It's there. All we have to do is just use it, and then Flip it over, guess what? Everything is out there. You've invited that person to join our community, and now you know where to take the, get the shipping information, all of that. It's just so structured and so duplicatable. Mm-hmm. That's what I've got. I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, and it's great because thank you, Rick. That then becomes the sheet, the client tracking sheet. So it's concise. It's in one place, and it's all right there. All you need is a 3-hole punch, and you're off to the races, right? All right. Anybody else have a comment? Or I'd love to hear if somebody actually walked through one of these this last week, and they turned into a client, and now you're partnering with them. If you have that, either raise your real hand or your Zoom hand, and we'll call on you.
Now we have 29 on, so I know a couple of you. Yeah. Victoria. Go ahead, Victoria.
Good morning, everybody. We've done a lot of these, even that when we got back from the conference, we started using them. They work really, really well, even the old one, with people you have a warm contact with, that know you, that believe you, trust them, or they trust you, you have a relationship with them. But we also have a wellness company, and we identify a lot of people with prediabetes, things like that, at our screenings. And when they say they're interested in a health screening, or, not a health screening, but a health assessment, they get halfway through it and they think, this is sales. And so it is a great tool for warm people. I was wondering if you had any suggestions on using it for the colder client, the person that doesn't know you, doesn't know your history as a coach, those kind of things.
What I would say in that situation is if we were talking about selling them some candles or maybe some Tupperware or something like that, I don't have to have a deep relationship with somebody. Right. But what we're doing is, in some cases, some people, it's just some fine tuning, but in many cases, it's kind of re-sewing the fabric of their life. It's pretty deep what we do. Mm-hmm. So I think that there is an appropriate warmth to the relationship that's necessary. Mm-hmm. I explained it, or kind of one way I can think about it is you have people that are a 0 to 10. The 0 is a stranger and a 10 is your spouse, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And so if you go from a 0 to a 1, it means that you know maybe their name. You may not know them very well, but you know them, or you've talked to them, you've seen them, you have some kind of interaction. Well, you probably need to warm them up to some degree, up to a 3 to a 5, right? Once they're between a 5 and a 7, and I'm just making these terms up, but you want to have some type of a reason. Now, you can go very quickly. Depends on their need, depends on how they see you in the world. But sometimes I can go from a 1 to a 6 just by them seeing one of my posts and saying, I just got a text this morning from somebody that said, "Hi, Craig. I want my health back, but at 52, where do I start? I used to be so active until I got out of the military. I ran nearly every day. I played racquetball. I did all these different things, but I just can't figure it out." And I'm looking up this person's name and I don't even recognize the name. Yeah. Right. So to me, they're kind of cold, but it seems like what they're saying is kind of warm, or they're desperate. And so in that situation, I'm going to go right into it. Well, man, maybe I can help you. Let's get together and talk. And then my talking to them is going to be guided by the health assessment. That's where I'm going to be tracking what she tells me.
One thing real quick, Victoria, as you look at, because I always look at building relationships, just like Craig is saying, if they're at a 1, then they're probably not going to be ready to want to take that health assessment because they don't know you. Mm-hmm. You're a stranger to them. So, warming up and building that, sometimes it takes, multiple shots to where, you're just warming things up to where they're really comfortable with you.
This is
If there's
a work situation where they've been
Work.
diagnosed with diabetes.
Mhm.
We go into the workplace and screen people, and we're the screeners, and then they have diabetes or they
Yeah.
have prediabetes. So we are clinical to them.
Yeah.
We are the person that determined this for them.
Mhm.
And they say yes there. Yes, 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 yes. But
Yeah.
by the time you get to, you know, so they've said yes, we've explained what it is, but it's a work situation and there's no way I can get to, and that's what I'm trying to tell
I see.
our screeners and coaches. You're a 1. It's a great point. And that's great for me to tell my screeners too.
Yeah,
You're a
and
1.
Victoria,
You're not a 3.
we can probably talk
Yeah.
offline with the nuances of that. But what's helpful for everybody is that
Yeah.
coming alongside their dreams and meeting them where they're at, and those words I just said, there's a lot to that. But coming alongside them and not just helping them get past, like, we can talk about if someone wants to have a fit body, we can talk about, we can focus on all the sweat and all the pain and all the training. And they're like, I don't want to do all that. But if we focus on the finish line and out there running with people and doing their sport and whatever, all the, you know, the value of the work.
Right.
And with these people here, of course, if anybody on the planet, you come up to them and say, would you like to have diabetes? Yes or no? I don't know anybody that would
Right.
say yes. Right. And so what's the value of not having diabetes? What does that mean to you? Come alongside them and stoke or awaken that thing that they value, and then say, well, we can get you through these things, you know? So I just want to, in
Very
all
helpful.
situations, partner with people to help them get what they want.
Mhm.
Right. And I think that'll bridge the gap there. Susan.
Good job.
Susan, you got your hand up, Susan. Go ahead.
Yeah. I found that it flows really smoothly. We had a referral that we've never met. She's in a different state and completely out of the blue just called up and said, hey, my friend's doing this. Can I help? Can I get on? I did the assessment all the way down. It flows beautifully. And it just, I mean, she was so comfortable, I think, because I actually had something to say that stayed on track, that just flowed right down the line. And it wasn't like I was pulling things out of the air. It was like I knew what I was doing. And she's a new client and a new coach now.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
So yeah,
So just
it
multiply
was an
that.
exciting
Just add
call.
water and just bake that a bunch of times.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job. Well, and obviously if she became a coach and a client, there was something that you showed that was value that she wanted, right? There was a connection there clearly.
There was a connection, and we knew someone mutually, but she's really ready, and she's in the health profession, so she's a nurse practitioner. So
have you guys heard of there's a book called The Speed of Trust? It's a Covey book. This is what it looks like. And what Susan's talking about is all about the speed of trust. She had, and it's sort of like that scale of 0 to 10, right? And it's the speed at which things move along that continuum. And Susan came in probably at a 5 with somebody she never met. And the reason why she started at a 5 and not as a 1 was because they mutually both knew somebody. So Susan got to piggyback on their mutual friendships person, and that person said, Susan's cool. I trust her. Right? And that's all about the speed of trust. That's why we ask for referrals when we want to get something done on our house or our car. Because we can go to a complete stranger, but if my buddy Bob said, Jim the auto guy is all right, Jim the auto guy is all right, even though I've never met him. Speed of trust and referrals is really relevant.
Speed of Trust. I have it on Audible, so
Yep.
it's really good. listened to it a few times.
Yeah, for me, I haven't historically been a big reader. And over the last couple of years, I heard Terry Miller say leaders are readers. And so I started looking at all these books that I'm reading or listening to, for me, or sometimes both. I have the Audible guy read it to me while I read along in my book, because I get distracted easily. And anyway, so think about, what if you invested in an Audible subscription for you and your personal development, right? Anyway, just something to think about. There's some really good material out there. And if you don't grow as a human being, then you won't grow as a human being, right? Well, we're about 24 minutes after here, so we're going to get into the training for today. So thank all of you that participated and helped talk about that health assessment. I'm hoping that encourages you, that this tool is pretty foolproof. You just follow the questions, and the only thing you're going to add is you and your personality, right? The questions are there just to follow through, and you'll have everything you need to know what they want. And if you know what our 4 components of our program, you know how to get them there. So, so we're going to switch over today, and we're going to talk a little bit about these people that you've gone through the process of connecting, building up some interest. Then we go to the health assessment, where we assess if we can help them and if what they want is something we offer. And now we're to the point where they said yes. And here, this is a protocol to connect them with our community and give a glimpse of the structure that they really do. We really do have a coaching team and coaching community. So the first thing I'm going to kind of show you is a document, and I'll share it with you guys in a minute, but I'm just going to share my screen and show you kind of the progression of what it looks like. So this is a little different. Last time we talked about this in the last couple of boot camps, that this was a 3-way voice or Zoom. And we noticed that added quite a bit of busyness, and setting up a call with 3 people can be an extra challenge. And so consulting with Terry Miller and Troy, we decided that this first connection can be over Facebook Messenger. And you can get the same stuff done over Messenger. And it actually sets you up really nicely for what we're going to be training on next week, which is their client story. It's getting them integrated. So it's a client story / integrated. And that's where we do talk on the telephone, but we'll talk about that next week. So this is a 3-way message. And for those of you that have been part of the boot camps in the past, it's the same script. It's just communicating on a different channel. Instead of you being on the telephone, you're in a 3-way chat.
And Craig, one thing too is that as Craig and I were talking about this week and kind of going over the game plan of what we wanted to train on, it's just I kind of had a couple aha moments as we were talking about dialogue back and forth and really what would make it very easy and duplicatable for all you coaches. So this, to me, this is a really cool thing that breaks the ice, and to where that new client really gets that kind of arms wrapped around them to know that people care. And it doesn't mean that brand new coach doesn't care or that existing coach doesn't care. It just means that they have more support and they have more understanding, more guidance, which really makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. We, by the way, here's an interesting little tidbit, is when we were doing this, we were coming up with the outline, and we were just taking the previous outline and just converting it over to a text message communication. And I had 2 new clients. And so I said, let's just do this. Well, like while we were designing it, I'm like, Troy, let's just do it right now and test it. And it worked. It was like, I did my first thing. The person replied. Troy jumped in. All of a sudden, he got a friend request from the guy. And then it just went down. And we're like, Well, okay. And then we're like, well, I've got another new client. Let's do it with the second one too. And so we just rolled with it right there, and it just looked the same. It was like it just happened. So there's one caveat. If someone, now this is the exception, but if someone's not on Facebook or doesn't use, Facebook Messenger or whatever, it does hinder. You don't get the maximum advantage of some of the non-visible benefits, but you can do all of this through a text message. And the likelihood that they have a phone that does texting is pretty high, right? So this is not a deal breaker. We're talking about best practices and second best practices. It's not a yes, this works, and no, that doesn't work. Now, if they don't have a telephone, that will hinder them probably pretty dramatically, right? Because doing this over a letter to the U.S. postal system would be very laborious. So here's the document, and we're just going to kind of review this a little bit at a time. So it's the new client Facebook Messenger meet and greet. So this is after someone enrolls. And so during the conversation with them, either during the interview, at the end of the interview, the health assessment, somewhere along the lines, you're going to have this conversation, because you'll be talking to them on the phone at this point. And then you just set the expectation for what's coming. You say, congratulations. They said, well, let's get this done. And usually what happened right before they said yes, is you said, remember the lines, I know where you are and what you want, and I'm certain I can get you there. Really, the next question is when do we get started? And they say, well, how about now? And you're like, great. Congratulations on on joining us and joining our team. It's going to be so much fun watching what's in store for you. And then you set the expectation for what's coming. People are going to begin to notice you melting away, by the way. When this happens, I just want to make sure you know there's two options. I'm curious, actually, I'm going to stop screen share. What are the benefits of them when someone notices their results, of them referring them to you or potentially coaching themselves? At the core root level for them, what's the value of that? Anybody? Chris? I'll unmute you. Go ahead.
Accountability.
Accountability? Mm-hmm. Yep, yeah. That's definitely one. And kind of break that down a little bit more. What do you mean by accountability?
I mean, they're going to have to hold true to what it is they're doing, because if there's someone else there that's involved, that's getting healthy with them, that's going to keep them on track. Mm-hmm. And it's not just something where they can just blow it off.
Exactly. Now so that's exactly it. So imagine, if you will, that over the next year or 6 months of their life, there's a lot of people that they see when they live life. They go to the grocery store, they go to church, they go whatever, to their job, they go, to their hobby stuff. And those people notice them losing weight, and they say, or changing. Sometimes they're losing weight, but obviously they're making some positive changes. And then you would say, well, when these people notice that and they say, what are you doing? What they're really saying is, I wonder if that would work for me. So we got to translate. Wow, what are you doing? How did you do that? That what they're truly asking is, I wonder if that would work for me. So we have to translate that. I wonder if that would work for me. I wonder if I could do that. And so when we're talking to these new clients that haven't really started to see any change, it's just been, they have hope for the future and they're clear about what they want. You would say, one of the biggest things for your long-term success, because you don't want short-term health, you want long-term health. They would have just told you that, is that as the people around you see the changes and are inspired, as many of them that start to work with you and partner with you, the more the better. Imagine if everywhere they go, one person in that environment is partnering with them. They're a client and they're learning the same things they're learning. Imagine if they go to a potluck and 5 out of, let's just say I have 10 family members and 8 of them are Optavia clients. They know about what this is. Do you know what that potluck is going to look like? It'll be very different, right? Is that going to be an asset to their long-term change or a detriment, right? So don't miss the whole point of referrals aren't a business thing. Referrals are longevity. The more people that they introduce to the habits of health, the more people will be familiar with the habits of health, with this style of living. So now there's 2 ways to help them. Either they refer them to you and you're coaching them and their partners, or you partner with the coach to do the same thing. They're equal. Both of them work. For the end user, both of them work. All right, so let's go back to this. Just want to make sure
and Craig, one thing too is that as you are talking about, that brand new client, is there somebody that wants to join them? Because I think that's something. I think everybody kind of, a lot of us do miss that at the beginning. Hey, do you have a spouse or somebody that would love to join you in this journey?
Yep. And if you don't ask the question, the answer will be no. Right? Just saying, maybe you do get a no, but have it be a real no and not a hypothetical no. So
they might give you a few people saying, "Oh yeah, such and such might want to," and you're as they're talking, you're writing down those names because you never know with that person of along their journey if that person would be interested or people.
Actually, the likelihood is that we do know. Almost everybody out there is not.
Eventually, it's going to happen.
Yeah, eventually, right? So people are going to begin to notice you melting away, and when this happens, I can do a couple things. I can help you build your support system by bringing them on as a client, and if they come on, I'll actually thank you with the $25, or you can choose to partner with your friends, and I'll help you help them, basically. Right. So this has happened at the time of them saying yes. So you're basically saying this is wow. What are you doing is an opportunity for you to build your community, and I want to give them that perspective that it's not about trying to sell their friend candles because they like candles. This is about community and about making this stick. Nobody wants temporary health gains. And then so there's a little note here. If the new client is not on Facebook Messenger, you can do a 3-way text. We talked about that. So then here's the message setup. The sponsor coach, and you understand that role. Create a 3-way messenger group with your mentor coach and your new client. So basically it's you, your new client, and then your upline, your sponsor, right? And then the message is this: hey, and then if you put the @ in front of it, then it kind of auto-populates there. Hey, @ whatever the person's name is, let me introduce you to your health team. And then, you put the mentor coach's name, meet so-and-so, client, meet mentor coach. And then you step out. And I'm going to show you how this worked. I have some slides on this. And then the mentor coach hops in and goes, hello, nice to be part of your team. And they ask a simple question. Tell me why you chose to partner with so-and-so and what you hope to accomplish. And then you just wait. Now, this wait for reply in our situation happened within 30 seconds, right? But that could be, who knows if they're at work. Probably, though, if you set this up right after they said yes, they're going to respond to it because they're still online or they're still around their computer.
Craig, one thing real quick too, and I know it's not in here. I don't think it is, but you're asking kind of that permission to say, hey, I'm starting a 3-way chat with my mentorship so you have more lines of support? Is that okay? And then from there, what we do is just like Craig's doing right now, to where that person, you know, if they already know it's coming, then you know that your reply is going to be pretty quick.
Yeah. And I don't ask for permission, but letting them know this is the next step. If they just said yes and you're the coach, I just want you to make sure that if somebody said, I want to cross the river, and you hired somebody to help them cross the river, they wouldn't say, is it okay that you get in the boat right now? Right? So this is the mentality that they've said, I want to do that. And you're like, okay, I'm going to set up a 3-way messenger with my mentor, boom, boom, and then you're doing it. So you wait for the reply. Sounds like you're clear in your health goals. So-and-so, this is the health coach. We'll be right there alongside you. Great. So I'm like, let me show you how this actually worked out in as we did it, right? So here you see, this was the new client, and I said, hey, Mike, this isn't this another new strategy. I don't know what that said.
I don't know where that.
It worked though. So I basically told him, hey, this is another new. Oh, because this guy's a returning client. He's been a client before, and so this is another new strategy. Because I talked to him about the new strategies that we're doing since he was a client 5 years ago. Right? We have 3 of support. Meet Troy. Troy, meet Mike. And the next slide was Mike says, hi, Troy. Like, duh. I mean, that seems like what would happen next, right? And then Troy jumps in with that message, great to be part of your health team at Mike Beinhart. So then when you put the it pings them and notifies them that they were mentioned in a message.
By the way, that's something I learned from Craig, because I didn't know that. So
yeah, it's a new thing in Messenger. Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Great to be part of your health team. Tell me why you've chosen to partner with Craig and what you hope to accomplish. So it's the same thing that we did in the verbal ones, right? But he's doing the @ symbol in front of it.
And this is the exciting part. This is kind of, I didn't mean to interrupt Craig, but this is the exciting part, because when this happened, it's like, this is awesome, Craig, because then I looked at basically what he was writing or what he wrote, and it's like he just told me some of his why, and I didn't have to have a conversation with him through that part. So I'm already getting caught up a little bit. Go ahead.
And by the way, probably the person that it's most important that hears that was Mike. It wasn't me. It wasn't Troy. So Mike already told me that. And then Troy basically asked him it again, as if he's letting Troy know what his goals are. But the reason why Troy asks it is to make sure Mike knows what his goals are.
It's kind of repeating back to him, like, basically.
Right. So he says, I've been with Craig before, quite a long time ago, and it was successful. I was successful following the plan under Craig. I am going to accomplish my 70-pound weight loss and get back in shape. So it's kind of surfacey, basic kind of stuff. And then Troy says, sounds like you're clearing your health goals, and Craig Blanchette will be there right along with you. So he's basically edifying that I'm going to be there. And then Troy says, after about 1 week in your program, we'll connect on Facebook Messenger voice or video so we can actually talk. And then he says, Craig will set that up. How does that sound? So now you actually are looking for engagement in that rebuttal. And he says, sounds like a plan to me. Like, literally, we were building this, and Mike wasn't part of the training. Mike was just responding to what we were saying, and it went perfectly. And then the next one, it sounds like a plan to me. So now Troy's out, and then I throw in here's some great reference info for you as well. And this is the new client getting started email, right? And so we have all these in the document there. So
hey, Craig, real quick, I don't know, do you have that other text that we had with that other gal? Because I thought that was really powerful, because I asked the same questions, but I got a different response. What I mean by that is that, Mike was a little, okay, hey, I want to lose 30 pounds. That's great. But the response from the second one we did was, I thought it was very powerful. Did you, Craig? I thought that was really cool. Do you have that?
Let me find it here. Christina Vasquez. Yep. So I'll just have to share this with you. I didn't prepare fun slides for this one, but I will.
I should have said something, but I mean, I think that's everybody wants to know the proofs in the pudding, right? So as you look at this tool, you're like, well, I don't know. This is something different. Maybe this is something you haven't done, but it's so easy, and it doesn't take a whole lot of your time, but it gives you that connection piece to start the conversation to where it goes in a really, really cool way. So
right. So this was the second one. Hey, Christina, I want to introduce you to Troy. He's part of your health team. Troy, meet Christina. Christina, meet Troy. And then I named the three-way message once it started, Christina Vasquez support team, right? And then I changed the color. It's one thing I'm doing is you can go up here and you can click on change color, and I'm changing the support things to green, so it kind of identifies them as being client support things. And then Troy says, at Christina, it's great to. Does this sound familiar? Actually, it's great to be part of health team. Tell me why you've chosen to partner with Craig and what you hope to accomplish. So he just copied and pasted that. The only thing he changed was the names. And Christina says, hello, Troy. Nice to meet you. Right? I was a customer a few years ago with Christy Scroggs and has been my coach. So this is a roll-up. Somebody that was working with another coach that retired as a coach. Once I came back, I was assigned to Craig. I hope I drop about 40 pounds and really work to keep it off. So really work to keep it off because she put her weight back on. I have a co-worker who's also on the plan, so I'll have some local support that I didn't have the first time. I'm looking forward to working with both of you and Craig. And then it sounds like a canned response, but it's just planned response. Sounds like you are clear in your health goals. Now, what if she said, well, I don't really know what I want? Well, he's not going to write that. But most of the time, people will be clear because we've already had the health assessment. After about 1 week in your program, we'll connect on Facebook Messenger, and Craig will set that up. And then I put in the message there, which is making sure they have the welcome newsletter or welcome email thingy. So that's the basic gist of it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty basic, but it's installing infrastructure that will show value in the future. Because one of the neat things about Facebook Three-Way Messenger is that after they've been on program a week, they're going to be down 3 to 5 pounds if they're on the 5-in-1 program anyway. And even if they're not on the 5-in-1 program, though, after about a week, they're going to start seeing some changes of whatever they're doing. And so then you can start a three-way video message right there from within Messenger. And so it's nice. So at this point, I'm sure you guys have a few questions. This is a real basic infrastructure thing. Behind the scenes, there's a lot going on, even though on the surface, it hopefully looks pretty simple and pretty basic. But we're communicating a bunch of things. We're communicating that there's a team out there. They're not alone. We're modeling that I have a coach. I have mentorship, right? We're communicating a bunch of different things. We're reinforcing. They're telling us what they want again. And then we're saying there's something in the future happening. So it's really simple. Go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, one thing too, as we look at this kind of builds the stage for that new client to possibly looking at coaching. Because remember, 2 sets of eyes are better than 1. 2 sets of ears are better than 1. So if you're doing it alone versus doing it with, mentorship, what happens is the likelihood And not to say that us as leaders know everything, because we don't. But the nice thing about this is that as we guide you kind of through this process, Craig and I do, what you're going to see is you're probably going to pop a lot more coaches just because of the structure and what you're using.
Yeah, and I'm going to add this link to the archives, which is at the top of our Facebook page. And one of the things you want to do, though, is instead of going back to the archives every time, and you can ask Grandpa Google this question, but you can create a bookmark. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like, because in my, let's see here. Let's find where this is at. There we go. Google Chrome. So if you'll see, this is that document here. And up inside, I use Chrome or Safari. But you see I have these little things. These are in the bookmarks, but they are in the, I think they call it a bookmark bar. What is it called, actually? It's called the bookmarks bar. Yeah, right? And so
favorites bar.
Favorites bar, yeah. So it's called something, but you can store something as a bookmark, but instead of it being in the bookmark menu, it's right here on the top of your thing. So let's say that I pulled up a new tab, and I wanted to go to this one. Oh, new client meet and greet. I click that. What does it do? Takes me right to it. I don't have to go looking for this. This is the one for next week that we're going to talk through, right? So I have the things that I do a lot up here, right in my bookmarks bar. And so you can find that easy. So you're going to go Google, how do I add a favorite, and then put in bookmark bar or favorites bar. And it'll show you how to do that if you've never done that. You can also if you're viewing this on your phone, you can make this page a home screen button. So it's right there. If you don't know how to do that, Google iPhone or Android, whatever you have, home screen button. And it's going to tell you how to do that particular thing. That way you don't have to say, where was that link again? Or you don't have to go to that one Facebook page and do all this thing. It's just right there for easy access. Somebody had a question, or let's see here, toolbar maybe. Yeah, so any questions about what we talked about so far?
This is Eileen. I have a question.
Hi, Eileen. Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, Craig, so I'm kind of going back. This new way of doing it on Facebook Messenger, have you tested it to the point that you feel strongly that this is better than the meet and greet when you do it on a phone?
Yes, it's better because it's scalable. The problem with the previous method was there was a lot of people involved in it with the previous one.
It was taxing the membership or mentorship, basically.
Taxing the mentorship, exactly it. Yeah. And so,
and really taking a lot more time.
We had, now, by the way, you can build you have autonomy over how you want to run your business. This was a modification of making things a little bit simpler, but getting the same job done. And this was based upon Terry Miller's 14 years of experience of let's make this a little bit simpler to do these things. And this is just a quick in and out, and then you're going to have your meet and greet, and they're going to get exposed to the community and the process, and making sure that all their ducks are in a row. So,
well, let me explain real quick too, Craig. As we look at, you see in that message, we put that that first week we'd like to celebrate with that individual on Facebook Messenger basically video. The reason why I like to use that at the beginning, it breaks the ice. Okay, people, because they get kind of like a little bit fumbled when they look at Zoom. Sometimes it doesn't download right, or what have you. Well, this is very seamless. Okay, if on the top right hand corner you've got the little movie camera, you push on that and you let them know, hey, I just did one a couple days ago with a coach, and it's very, very easy and very plug and play. That's what I like about doing, Facebook Messenger video versus, again, we're going to do Zoom, but we got to have those soft skills to come into Zoom, because people, they might be nervous. I don't know if I want to do camera. I don't want, all that. But what's interesting is that it actually works really well because it's so easy to use.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks. That makes sense.
Yep. And this,
But
by the way,
the whole Zoom thing, you could spend 15 minutes trying to get somebody on that's never used it before. So yeah, that makes sense.
yep.
And the reason why we use the Messenger, obviously, because it's there, it's easy. But the other part of that is that when I go into Zoom sometimes with that brand new client and of course that existing coach, they might take 15 minutes. So this is like instant. And we always look at, hey, our time is precious. All of our time is precious. We want to move forward, right? We don't want to spend 30 minutes fumbling with this. So this gives us those soft skills to where we can kind of get in with that person and make it very easy. Now, they do have to download Messenger, the app, okay? Unless they're going to be on a computer. That has to be downloaded in order for them to be in this conversation and then basically use the video.
That's if they're on mobile, only. But and here's another thing too. So we have, let's say these, most of all the coaches are clients first. And so when someone comes on as a new coach, the protocol is to set up a 3-way messenger with your mentor coach. It's the same exact protocol. And then you ask a few questions, it's the same basically rhythm. It's just a little lighter, and it's setting up for that future conversation, which is exactly what we do with the new coach. So anybody else?
How many of you absorbed it? We talked, so let's sort of show of hands. Actually put your virtual hand up. Yeah. I want to know who really kind of, hey, I got it. I got this. You got 3? Only 3 of you absorbed it?
They're coming. They're looking for the button.
6, 7, 8.
When he says virtual hand, that means your Zoom hand. Yeah. If you go down to where it says participants at the bottom, then in that window of the participants, it shows raise hand.
Because honestly, this is something, it might look basic to Craig and I, but maybe it's a little perplexed for you. Okay. So we want to make sure we're crystal clear on this, because I think as you want to grow a business, right? You guys are all here because, hey, you want to grow a business, right? Maybe you're not at a senior coach level. Maybe you want to grow to senior coach. Maybe you want to grow an executive director. Maybe you want to grow a global business. I don't know. But what I'll tell you is that the systems in place that Craig and I talk about, it's not like we pulled this out of the sky. It's been there. But what we're doing now is we're making it to where we're breaking this down to where you're understanding it, and that way comprehension's bigger. Instead of, oh, I only got 5% of that. Why not get 100%, right? Absorption.
Excellent, guys.
Can I put my hand down now? My arm's getting tired.
Hi, Christina. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Does anybody else have anything unclear of this? It's important, I think, to understand the sequence.
This
comes before that, and this comes after that, right? You can't do the 1 week celebration call until they've enrolled as a client. I mean, that's logical.
I do it.
So, so that's what we're talking about here, and this is that new infrastructure. Rita, you had your hand up. Go ahead. I'll unmute you.
So my my statement is that then this will get done a whole lot quicker, because sometimes we miss one, and I have people I've missed, and so I've kind of filled it in, and it just doesn't work as well. So I can see the value how fast this can get done and get them in the system, and a little more structural success at the beginning, which makes a huge difference along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, imagine if Troy had 5 new coaches or 5 coaches, and each one of those coaches brought in 5 clients in 1 week. You know how many times he'd be on the phone with that? But right now he can manage these messages. You know, he's going to be able to copy paste and just change the names, and that forum is already kind of set. It's like you put this little placeholder in there, and now we're just waiting for the 1 week. Now I'll be communicating. Hopefully the client will be communicating in that message, and once they get past the week, where we do their 1 week client celebration / integration call, Troy might then just bug out. Hey, you guys are in great hands. I'm always around and always here, but I'm going to step out of this conversation for now. And then so Troy can remove himself from them.
Oh, I can't see that one. Is that the other one?
I think it's Christina. Did you have a question, Christina?
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
So what if they don't respond to the messenger? Because I have a client that hasn't started yet who hasn't responded to the messenger.
Mm-hmm. Great question.
Because I'm getting lost at like what we do. Do we change to a different method of communication? Do we do a group text instead? Because I know she's got her phone with her. I just don't know, if that would be the best way of communicating, right?
Well, that's what you're figuring out. So what I would do is I would say, hey, I just set up a 3-way. I would text her and say, hey, I just set up a 3-way message with your support team, with our support team. Did you see it?
Okay.
Or you may even call them and say, hey, I set up this thing. One thing too. Sorry, Craig. One thing too, Christina, real quick. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes,
it's
sir.
Easier for 2 people for you to call somebody and say, hey, did you see that? Go get it. Than it is to try to set up a 3-way again, right? That's why we're going to a text. But getting healthy communication and the communication channels set up properly can take a little bit of work. But maybe one of the reasons why they're not as healthy as they want to be is because they don't have good communication skills.
Oh.
One thing too, Christina, when you put that order in for that client, right? Now this is something obviously now that we're going to utilize, but before, when that client put their order in, we didn't have this. So as you put that order in, I'm always going to say, well, hey, we have this. I'm going to start this 3-way, just like Craig's saying, this 3-way messenger. I want to make sure that you get on the right foot, and I want to bring my mentorship in, just like I was saying. But make sure it's a clear point right when they order, so they understand this is just another part of support for you.
Oh, right. So right after you get their card, it's like, by the way. Yep. Okay.
You might even do it when you have on the phone.
You want to be really clear. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to be really clear with it. And that's something that, again, this is like what's taught has been caught, right? So as we talk about this is important for you to actually catch this and actually utilize this.
Oh, word.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, guys, we're going to stop the recording now, and we're going to jump into our work group, and we're going to all do this together. So we'll figure all this out.